Hi, I'm Keila, reporting for Kids First, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Robbie Bond. 14-year-old Robbie is the founder of a nonprofit called Kids Speak for Parks, which spreads the word about the amazing national parks and public lands that are at risk of climate change. He traveled the country educating the nation's youth and families about our national parks and monuments, while increasing the appreciation and preservation of these unique and treasured lands. Welcome, Robbie.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on this. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for being on here.
Yeah,
Robbie,
I'm really excited.
I am too. I saw you presenting in front of large crowds back in 2017, after 27 of our national parks were in jeopardy of being reduced. Can you walk us through the steps you've taken to get your voice as an activist heard?
Sure. I've always been advocating for these national parks and monuments, but how I started by touring these amazing national parks using the Every Kid in the Park Pass. Now, the Every Kid in the Park Pass allows fourth graders to go to national parks for free. And I took advantage of that, and I toured a bunch of national parks and monuments. And I soon realized that these national parks were in jeopardy. I started out by advocating on social media, and then I started going to conventions and speaking to schools. And now I've been able to speak in front of super large audiences because a lot of people want to hear the kids' perspective on these really difficult issues.
That's an amazing way of getting started.
Thank you. Yeah. I started out pretty small, but I soon got speaking to really large audiences.
Yes. It's great to know that the U.S. is actually participating again in the Paris Climate Accord. What are your thoughts on where its strengths and weaknesses are?
I think it's awesome that the U.S. has rejoined the Paris Climate Accord after President Trump removed us from it. And I think some of the strengths of the Paris Climate Accord is that it's this huge collaboration between all these countries, and these countries will hold each other accountable for what we propose in the Paris Climate Accord. I think one of the cons of this is that some countries are able to not really fully participate in the Paris Climate Accord, kind of freeload off of the agreement. And another one of the cons is that not all of the countries are participating in this. Some of the biggest carbon outputters aren't responsible in the Paris Climate Accord. I mean, we weren't under the Trump administration, but now we are, which is incredible.
That's true. As you know, the Paris Climate Accord targets a critical net zero emission goal for developed countries like the U.S. by 2050. Other than the obvious efforts, such as planting more trees, what are the most viable options for capping and storing carbon at scale?
One of the things that a lot of people actually don't know about capping and removing carbon from the atmosphere is that the ocean is very responsible for removing carbon from our atmosphere, with coral and algae and actually certain types of plankton remove, I'm pretty sure, up to 50% of the carbon from our atmosphere. Really? So protecting our oceans, and I've been working on protecting our marine national parks because there's a lot of awesome coral and things in those areas, is very important. Also, I encourage kids to use renewable energy sources like solar panels, and also, green transportation like walking or carpooling, because those are small things that actually make a huge impact if a lot of people work on them.
Yeah, and we need to recycle things too.
I agree.
In your documentary, Climate Change is Destroying Our National Parks, you speak about the risk of Glacier National Park losing its glaciers, or of Joshua Tree National Park losing its Joshua trees. What do you want people to be aware of that demonstrates the real risks of destroying these parks within our lifetime?
What I want people, especially kids, to be aware of the risk of destroying these national parks is that once we destroy these beautiful places, we can never get them back to the way they once were. A lot of national parks have historical sites like petroglyphs or things that once destroyed, we can never get them back. And as kids, we will experience the biggest results of our actions today because we're going to be around the longest. I also want people to realize that the national parks are in climate and temperature extremes. And I touched on this in my video, but because national parks are in, glaciers or deserts or really high and low temperatures, they'll be affected the most by climate change. So we need to protect our parks.
We do. It's amazing what you did in 2017 when you realized how the national parks are at risk. In your documentary, you refer to some of the actions we can implement to save our national parks and ultimately planet Earth. You speak about reducing, reusing, and recycling. What are some other recommendations that individuals or a government should be taking?
I think we can reduce our use of single-use plastic. It's something that individuals can do, but also kids can present an idea to the government or their schools to remove single-use plastics as a whole. And I think that that's the most effective way to get single-use plastic out of our lives. Like I said, green energy, like solar panels and windmills, getting energy from them is really essential to getting carbon out of our lives. I already touched on this again, but transportation, you can carpool or you can ride bikes or walk, and that completely eliminates carbon out of your transportation.
In order to inspire other young climate activists, what steps would you recommend they take to get started?
I would recommend that young climate activists start small in their local communities or in their schools. I feel like trying to take on too big of a problem at first is really difficult, and it might make you not want to continue your work. I also really encourage kids to use technology to their advantage, especially like content creation, like videos or posting on social media can really spread the word to a larger audience, like what I did.
It can.
Also, I feel like collaborating with a larger organization that shares the same ideas or goals as you can really help, because a lot of bigger nonprofits or organizations are really open to getting help from kids because it helps both you and the organization.
That's true. And climate change.
Right.
When was the first time you started to worry about climate change?
The first time I started to worry about climate change is during my tour of the national parks. I heard from the former president of the National Park, former director of the National Park Service, John Jarvis, that the biggest threat to our national parks is climate change. And since I really love these places, I wanted to protect them as best I could, and that means eliminating climate change.
Do you think it's too late to rescue the Earth from climate change?
No, I personally don't think it's too late to rescue the Earth from climate change. I think since we're trying to work to a net zero carbon emission, once we get there, hopefully by 2050 or even earlier, we can start working on removing the excess carbon from our atmosphere and restoring these places to the way they once were. For example, a lot of the glaciers in Glacier National Park have melted. I said this in my video, but if we could restore those incredible places, it would be awesome.
It would, because we can never get them back.
I agree. I feel like we should work to stop these places from going away before they get destroyed.
I'm pleased to announce that on the behalf of the MeteoHeroes and Kids First, you're the MeteoHeroes Sunny Award-winning 2022 Honorary SuperHero of the Year for your outstanding achievement in climate change awareness. You're living proof that you don't need to wear a cape to change the world. And now I'd like to present to you with this award. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be receiving this award. I've worked really hard on that video, and I'm really excited to be receiving this. I'm really proud that you thought so highly of it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Keila, reporting for Kids First and MeteoHeroes. Today, I had the pleasure of speaking with Robbie Bond about his work on combating climate change. Be sure to like and subscribe to our Kids First channel so you don't miss any of our interviews or reviews. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for having me.